When I first received a diagnosis for my child, I felt a mix of fear, confusion, and also determination. Hello, and welcome to the Marvellous-U Podcast. Today, I'll be discussing a topic that is very close to my heart, and that is special needs parenting. What I wish I knew. I am going to be sharing my personal story in this discussion, in this podcast today, in the hope that you will find comfort, guidance, and hope if you are a parent navigating this special needs journey. If you are listening and walking this road, I see you. I want to go back to the early days. When I first found out that something was wrong with my baby, I was confused. I already had a first trimester scan and everything was fine. The only reason I went back for a scan again the second time was because I wanted to know the sex of my baby. And suddenly, I was told that something was wrong. What could have gone wrong after my first scan? I didn't know what to think. Was it because I was finding it difficult to eat? Was it the supplements that I couldn't take? I remembered the common supplement there was Pregnacare. I tried taking, a tablet 1 or 2 days and I couldn't continue. I could only take folic acid. I just could not understand it. I was confused. I was so confused. And then the sonographer said she needed to refer us to another hospital for further investigation. At the hospital, I was subjected to further scans. I remember laying on the scanning bed sometimes for up to an hour, and different doctors coming in and out, looking, measuring, discussing, trying to understand what it is that they're seeing on the screen. In my mind, I could see that they were confused and not even sure. The consultant amongst them, after a long period of checking and consulting, came to me and my husband in a side room, and there she suggested a termination. I broke down and I cried. In fact, I wailed. She said we should go home and think about it. How do I terminate a pregnancy that I was already in the second trimester for? This was my first pregnancy, and I had already bonded with this baby. Being my first pregnancy, I didn't realize it that although I could feel the baby's movement, he was not as active as he was supposed to be. I had a colleague at work who was also pregnant, and I often wondered when she talks about how active her baby is and how she's so uncomfortable and sometimes cannot sleep at night. When I had my second pregnancy, I understood the difference. We got home thinking about what to do with the news we got from the hospital. In my heart, I knew I was not going to terminate. I couldn't make the call. I knew I would not be able to live with that decision. We were told he would not make it after birth. That maybe 10 days. I felt it would be better if after birth he didn't make it than for me to take the decision to terminate. I sang to him. He knew my voice already. At that point, I named him in faith and began calling him by his name. I composed songs with his name to sing to him. I had to have faith to go on, and I had to have hope for the best. All through this period, there was nothing else the doctors could do but to wait for delivery. I was booked to an elective cesarean session, and this was because my baby was in a breech position and also because of the unknown diagnosis. It meant that it was not safe to have a normal birth. After the cesarean session, I didn't see my baby until the next day, as he was taken off immediately to the NICU. And after a while, when I recovered from the surgery, I began to cry because I wanted to see him. But I couldn't walk, and I was told I had to wait for a porter to wheel me down to the neonatal unit. A porter came and wheeled me down, and when I saw him in that cubicle, I fell in love with him the moment I set my eyes on him. The nurses took him out of the cubicle on a pillow and placed him on my laps. Right in the cubicle, he turned when he heard my voice. I just loved him. He was mine. Perfect or not, this is my baby. We had to stay in the hospital for a month while he was still in the neonatal intensive care unit. We struggled with getting him to feed. He wasn't gaining weight. That was one of the reasons that kept us longer in the NICU. After a month, we came home. As a new mom, I didn't know what lay ahead of us. I just had to hope for the best. I had to believe that we will be fine. We were told to go home and enjoy our baby. We tried to carry on as normal with visits from head visitors, immunizations, attending hospital appointments. My husband was the only support system I had. Even though prior to that time, my elder sister was with me in the hospital, but she had to go back. She wasn't expecting that she would spend her time with me all in hospital. So my husband had to miss a lot of time off work as he had to be present to take us, to medical appointments. And after 3 months, we were invited to go to the Evalina's Children's Hospital. And there we received a diagnosis from the geneticist that our son had Osteogenesis Imperfecta, a word I've never heard before. It's also known as brittle bone disease. His blood samples had previously been taken for this test. We were also introduced to a whole team of doctors at the Evalina Hospital, from spinal to dental. I couldn't even comprehend all of the people that were sitting in front of me, but we were told that they were going to be a part of his care team. I would later meet the Osteogenesis Imperfecta team at Great Ormond Street Hospital, from where his care is coordinated. After the diagnosis, I was thrown into a ward where I had to start learning medical terms and also trying to understand this condition of Osteogenesis Imperfecta. What is it? I wanted as much information as possible. It was very overwhelming at the beginning. I had to ask to be connected to another parent I could speak with. This condition was so rare that it was difficult to find someone close. The hospital eventually found someone who called me later, a parent who also has a child with the same condition. And then, through my research, I discovered and found the Brittle Bone Society, but they were based in Scotland. After a while, I joined a support group where I met other parents of children with different diagnoses from autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, sickle cell. Suddenly, meeting all of these parents, I didn't feel so alone anymore. Eventually, I was also able to attend the Brittle Bone Society conference, and for the first time, I could connect with other families that had a child like mine. As a parent, when you discover something is wrong with your child or you receive a negative diagnosis, the feeling of guilt and the grief that you feel are very normal. Nobody likes to hear that something is wrong with their baby. Not during pregnancy, not even when they are growing up or maybe later in life. We all desire to live healthy lives and also to have children with healthy lives. And so when you get this kind of diagnosis, the first feeling, for me, I felt guilty. I started questioning myself. Maybe because I couldn't eat. Maybe I should have tried to really eat when I was pregnant. But the doctors kept assuring me that it had nothing to do with me. It was a fluke of nature, a genetic mutation. And then the grief that follows. I had to grieve. What was I grieving about? I had to grieve about the baby that I thought I should have and I didn't have. So in a way, I was grieving the loss of the child that I was expected to have but I didn't have. And all of this guilt and grief, they are normal. And sometimes you also feel isolated, especially when there is no one you know with the same diagnosis around you. These emotions that you feel can be very difficult and distressing, but they are all valid. All of them are valid, because we want the best for our children. We want them to have the best that life has to offer. However, this is often not the case for some children. What are the things I wish I knew? In those early days, I was overwhelmed with all of the information and the appointments and all of the emotions that came with receiving a diagnosis for your child and trying to manage and cope with life with a newborn, not knowing what the road ahead had for us. The appointments were often so many because you see that there's a head visitor to see, there's a consultant pediatrician, there is physiotherapy, there's occupational therapy. Every day was just full of overwhelm. And then I had this baby that was crying a lot in those early days because he was often in pain. I didn't even realize how much pain he was in, because I bet his x-ray showed that he had many tiny fractures. But there was nothing they could do because they were healed by themselves. What are the things I wish I knew navigating this journey? One of the things I didn't know then was that I was not alone. And if you're going through this journey, that is something I want you to know. You are not alone. There is a community and support network out there. You have to reach out and connect with others. When I first attended my first support group meeting, suddenly it didn't feel like my problem was the worst in the world, because I suddenly realized that if I thought I was having it bad, somebody else is having it twice as much. In finding the community of other parents that also had children with special needs, I suddenly felt that I belonged somewhere. I was not alone, and they were supportive because I could connect to their own experiences. I got advice from them. They signposted me to places where I could get support and help also. So you are not alone. You just need to reach out and connect with others. Don't stay in that isolation. I remember sitting in front of my doctor and I said, is there somebody else I can talk to that have a child with this same condition? And that call I had with that parent made a lot of difference. Just knowing that somebody else has walked this road before made a lot of difference. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to walk this journey alone. Another thing I wish I knew while I was wondering, how am I going to cope? I don't even know what Osteogenesis Imperfecta is. But you are still enough. You might be in the same situation saying, I don't know anything about this. You don't need to know everything from day one. You are still enough. You can never know everything all at once. You will become overwhelmed. But gradually, as you go on this journey, you will begin to understand. I went on the internet trying to search, and I was bamboozled with so many medical jargons that I couldn't even comprehend. And I had to give up. But through connecting with the support groups, there are a lot of things I had to learn gradually, just from being with other parents that have walked this journey ahead of me. So you are still enough. Even if you don't know everything about your child's condition or diagnosis just yet, you are still enough. And then, what the other thing I wish I knew is remembering that this journey is not just about progress, but remembering to celebrate milestones. It took me a while, but I got there. And I remember having a journal from one of these baby companies then, to celebrate every milestone. Every tiny win matters on this journey. And this is a big one, because sometimes we are so carried away with the grief and the guilt and the struggle of trying to care for our children that we don't even, take note of those milestones that our children are able to accomplish. Our children are obviously different. And so soon enough, you will learn that when your baby is sitting, his mates would have been walking. Or maybe when your baby had his first speech, his mate would have been speaking volumes. But every milestone is a huge celebration not to be overlooked. When my baby was able to sit for the first time, it was a huge win, a huge celebration in our household. For a long time, he couldn't speak. We weren't even sure if he would speak. He had to have speech and language therapy. And when he said that the first time, I was so excited. So that first smile, the first talk, the first walk, celebrate milestone, not just progress. Celebrate every tiny win. And then the other thing I wish I knew, which I also want you to know, is that advocacy matters. When it comes to raising a child with special need, especially if you're living in the Western world, like I am living in the UK, you need to learn your rights and your child's needs, because you are going to be their voice. You are not only going to be their voice, you are also going to be their cheerleader. So you have to learn to speak up for your child. You have to learn to fight for your child. It's a fight most of the time to get things done, especially things that are done right for your child. If you don't fight for them, who will? Don't be laid back when it comes to advocating for your child's needs. Don't be laid back. Don't be silent. Learn to speak up. You know your child best. You know what will work for your family. You know what will work for the overall success of your child. So speak up, but also be their cheerleader. When they have achieved any little thing, don't just like, your mates have done it since, it's now you're doing your own. No. Cheer them up. Celebrate every little achievement that your children have. Advocate for them, and that is something that I do because I want these children with special need to know that however little they are able to accomplish matters. And so share them up. And above all, what I wish I knew early is self-care. Self-care is survival. On this journey of special needs parenting, caring for yourself sustains your ability to care for them. And this is so crucial. I mentioned in one of my videos, this is the link to the video, you can check out the video, where I said that you can't pour from an empty cup. If you don't take care of yourself, you will not be able to present yourself to your family in a wholesome way. Caring can be overwhelming. It can be draining. And it can also lead to burnout. And I've been there. You need to take breaks from caring. I know this can be difficult, especially if you do not have any family support around you. And that is one thing that I had to deal with. Even though I had, short breaks where someone would come, but it was not enough. In those early days, there were nights where we couldn't sleep. When my baby was dealing with sleep apnea and adenoids, he had breathing problems. There were just a lot of challenges. Not to talk of the times when he could not sleep because of pain, especially when he's recovering from surgery. Those periods could be brutal. Self-care is very important, and that is something I wish I knew early. So if you're going through this journey, caring for another child with special need, prioritize your self-care. Because if there is anything that bothers me most times, is being there always for my child. And the only way I can be there always is if I am healthy, if I am whole. Having a child with special needs have been a school of learning for me. I've learned many lessons of resilience, of patience, and unconditional love. Caring for my child has changed me and changed my worldview too. That there is perfect in imperfection. That you can find joy even when there is pain. And you can still feel love deeply even when your heart is breaking. I've also learned to be patient too. Because sometimes all you can do is wait. All you can do is wait. So being on this journey of special needs parenting has really taught me, lessons in strength. Especially seeing my child go through those surgeries and bouncing back and still being able to maintain his smile. That is for me a lesson in resilience. And if he's able to bounce back, I tell myself, why can't I? Nothing will break me down. And it reminds me of a popular slogan, which I also shared, in my book about the children that have Osteogenesis Imperfecta. In the OI community, there's a popular slogan they use, and that is unbreakable spirit. Bones may break, but our spirit is unbreakable. So on this journey, I have learned that it doesn't matter what is happening to your physical body, you can have an unbreakable spirit. There is beauty in this journey, and this beauty is in redefining normal and embracing a new kind of family joy. Yes, we may not be the normal family, but we are normal in our own way. We may not be able to follow the rhythm of the next family, but we are riding and dancing to our own rhythm. So I've also learned the beauty of redefining normal, and I realized that what is normal for others is different for me. And I can begin to redefine and embrace my new normal without trying to compare myself to the next family or the next parent. And this is important because acceptance is also something that you have to take with you in this journey. Accepting that your life is different from the next parent is so important. And so these are the lessons that I have learned, the lessons of resilience, the lessons of patience and unconditional love, of redefining my normal, and embracing it and seeing the beauty in my own normal. If you are a parent navigating this journey of special needs parenting, you might be wondering, am I doing enough? Do I even know what I'm doing? Am I failing my child? I want to encourage you. You are doing better than you think. Your love is enough. Your presence is powerful. I want you to know that some days may be difficult than others, but you will get through it all. Just take it one day at a time. Learn to breathe. But above all, learn to also focus on yourself. And focusing on self is the reason I wrote a book for parent carers, parents of children with special needs. My book, Raising a Glass Baby, was written because I wanted parents of children with special needs to focus on themselves. It's titled A Self-Care Guide for Parents of Children with Special Needs. This is because we are all breakable in one form or another. So the title Raising a Glass Baby is to help us to understand that we all need to be handled with care. Not just our children, but also ourselves. Just as we are caring for our children, we should not leave ourselves behind. The truth is, when you are happy and fulfilled in your caring role, your children, they feel it too. And they are happy with you because they feed off your emotions. That is why we must not only focus on them while leaving ourselves behind. We must also care for ourselves, because in our ability to thrive, in our ability to take care of ourselves, to be happy, to be whole in the midst of all of these challenges and struggles, also lies their success, also lies their ability to thrive. Because as a parent, your children, they feed off your emotions. You are a model to them. So irrespective of what stage you are in this journey, as much as you are focusing on your children, please do not leave yourself behind. Your children are happy when you are happy. They are sad when you are sad. When they are going through those challenging times, your ability to be there for them, to be positive, to be sound in your mind, to be whole in your mental health, also helps their own recovery. And that is why I wrote this book, Raising a Glass Baby. This is a deep resource for every parent that is raising a child with special needs. Not just the parents, but also for the siblings and so also for the family. You are not alone on this journey. In discussing this today, I want to invite you to share your story or connect with me on social media if you need encouragement. If you check this video, there are some links there. You can connect with me. If you want to share your story of this parenting journey of special needs, of raising children with special needs, I would like to hear from you. I'm looking at also inviting other parents to share their stories of navigating this journey of raising a child with special needs. So whatever stage you are in on this journey, just breathe, love, and remember, you and your child are both marvelous. You've been listening to the Marvellous-U Podcast. If this episode resonates with you, please subscribe, rate, and share. It's the best way to spread the word and support others on their journey. And always remember, you are marvelous just as you are. See you in the next episode.